This is Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the Inland Empire today, joined by Scott Nassif. He is the mayor of Apple Valley. We may be out of the drought, but water continues to be an issue that is percolating with tension in your city. And I want to take us back as we look toward a June 6 election in Apple Valley to how your residents receive water. How do they get water in Apple Valley?
It's a little different than most.
Right.
80% of all water systems are administered and delivered through municipalities throughout the United States. In our situation, it's a private water company. It had been private when the original land company that developed Apple Valley had the water, and it had been sold several times since then. Now it's owned by a Canadian investment group that owns the water. So it's delivered through a private water system.
And as I understand it, the rate that Apple Valley, the residents are paying, if you compare to your sister cities in the Victor Valley area, which don't deal with a private purveyor, your rates are higher. Is that accurate?
Very much so, yes.
Do we know why?
Yes. Well, first, to kind of give you an example, we're about 56% higher than Victorville.
Okay.
85% higher than Hesperia on per rate, and 120% higher than actually the county, which delivers water to Spring Valley Lake and
unincorporated areas.
Unincorporated areas, right?
Why?
First of all, there's profit built into the a private water company. Private water companies are governed by the Public Utilities Commission in Sacramento, and it's a non-elected board appointed by the governor, the board members. So there isn't as much attention paid to, obviously a small water company in Apple Valley. So,
and you cannot regulate the rates that they charge as the municipality in Apple Valley.
Right, where most communities do, we cannot. So they apply for rate increases based on infrastructure, based on investment.
Through the PUC?
Through the PUC, correct.
And can you intervene?
We try, but we were successful, but then they come back and say, well, we needed more, so there's these surcharges that are charged. So every time we've gotten the rates reduced, it's been come back into in rates in a different way.
So for quite some time, since I've known you and your colleagues on the city council, you have been looking at acquiring this private purveyor of water. And I had thought over the years that the deal was done. It seemed like it was done last year or the year before.
Well, we've actually been trying to purchase it from the owners. There's been 4 owners in the last 30 years, and we've always been interested in purchasing that from the system. But, when you have a system that's guaranteed 10% or authorized at that rate, up to that rate, the current owner actually makes 9.7 on their books. They're not necessarily motivated to sell the system to a municipality.
What do public entities make?
Public entities cannot make profit. It's just the way it's designed.
It just seems odd to me. Again, I don't know much, but it just seems odd that 80% of America will have these public entities who are not making a profit, and then 20% deal with entities that do make profit. And again, I don't begrudge private entities to make profit, but we're dealing with water.
Right. Yeah, the essential lifeblood. Right. And we're a little unusual because we're such a large community that has a private water system. There's some small water systems. When groups get together, or developers get together, form their own private entity to service them, and that's kind of way developed in Apple Valley. But we only incorporated, 1988. So. There wasn't that opportunity as the town grew and we were into the situation we're in now.
So I had thought that you were working through a deal with the city council. The city council has the power to acquire within the scope of the law.
We can condemn the system and take it over for the best interests of the community, and that's what we ultimately decided to do.
Publicly
take over the system. Council voted and started moving towards that, and it's in the courts as we speak.
And what happened? Eminent domain, essentially.
Eminent domain, essentially. It's still going through the courts, and of course they're suing us on various, it's a normal procedure.
Of course.
It takes about 24 months to get through that procedure.
But is that going on simultaneous with what we're going to talk about in a moment?
Yes.
So let's talk about what we're dealing with now, because we're going to election on June 6th.
Correct.
And
June
that
6th.
election was triggered because of what happened in November of 2016.
Right. And what Liberty Utilities did was put a measure on the ballot that required this the town of Apple Valley, if they choose to acquire the water system, to get voter approval for the financing.
I see.
And that's normally, and we're the only city now that has that requirement. But voters, they spent $560,000 to get the voters to
in
do
Apple
that.
Valley.
Just in Apple Valley.
Wow.
And so there was, and of course the message, they want to have a voice.
Right.
And so we put it on. We put it on the ballot for June.
So
6th.
even if the eminent domain proceeding is successful, in terms of Apple Valley's position, if this measure F were not to pass, it wouldn't matter. Is that right?
Correct. If we can't finance the acquisition, then
right.
It's
Doesn't
over.
matter what happens in eminent domain.
Right.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about the measure.
Okay.
It's going on the ballot, like we said, in June 6th. A yes vote means that Apple Valley is authorized to finance.
Right.
We're looking at $150 million.
Not necessarily. Because we don't know what the judge is
I
going to
see.
set the purchase price on, we had to have a maximum. We actually believe it'll be closer to $100 million, but because this is an unusual situation,
Clearly.
we have to ask the voters to give us some leeway back and forth. And the reason,
how would, please.
And the reason we chose $150 million at maximum, because that's the maximum we would pay and still not have to raise rates in Apple Valley.
And that's the question.
Right.
Let's presume victory on F, presume some type of resolution in the courts.
Right.
We will see the rates go down?
If we're under 150 million, yes, and based on, because Missoula, Montana just did the same thing
with the same
water
company.
Same company. They were successful in their eminent domain in Montana. Of course, they go through different procedures in Montana than they do in California.
Right.
But for about the same size system, they paid 88 million. They were awarded, or that's what the judge valued the system.
And
at.
they are engaged in the same type of financing?
No, they don't. Yes, they are, but they don't have to go through the requirements we did.
So we know that the incumbent spent, like you said, over $500,000 to have measure, I guess it was V-Pass. What are they doing with regard to measure F?
So far, we know they've contributed $300,000 to the campaign.
And is the city council?
And we anticipate it'll probably be over $500,000 again.
Is the city council uniform in their support of Measure F?
Yes, they are. They've been uniform all along.
So what do you think? I mean, the election, is it going to be all mail-in? Is it going to be you go to the polls to vote?
Both. I mean, 60% of our residents actually use the mail-in ballot. Yeah.
And so are your voters motivated? This is an off year election.
Yeah, very much so. We believe so. We've been speaking. I spoke at two venues yesterday, and once we kind of get the word out and let them know what's going on, they've been very motivated and understand what the issue is.
This is a fascinating
we don't
tale.
have $500,000 to get the message out, and in fact, the city. And
you can't spend city money.
We can't spend city money to advocate for a position on a measure. We can. I'm here individually on my own time, not anything to do with the city, so I can voice my opinion. But the city can only educate; they can't advocate.
I'm looking forward to.
So it's very difficult to fight. Yeah.
We'll have you back after the voters decide Measure F. His name is Scott Nassif. He is the mayor of the city of Apple Valley. My name is Brad Pomerance. You're watching us on Local Edition.